This thing turned out sick as hell. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to discuss why I chose the Lumix S5IIX. We'll go through a quick unboxing and some sample footage and some modifications that I've made to date. Keep in mind, this is from the point of view of a total camera noob such as myself. My needs are mainly video-centric for home movies, home videos, and also trying to up my YouTube channel game. So let's talk a little bit about my camera history. I first got into a mirrorless camera back in 2012 with the Nikon J1. And for a while, this camera was really great, especially for video. That didn't last very long, however. Once the iPhone 5 and 6 came out, their ability to record at 1080p and higher was just so much more convenient than pulling out the J1. The J1 had no image stabilization as well, so once the phones started to have some sort of IBIS, it really kind of put them over the top, and I just never used the J1 anymore. I kept watching the camera space. I was kind of intrigued by the Lumix Micro Four Thirds ecosystem. But sort of around that same time, the early full-frame cameras were starting to come out, and it seemed obvious to me that that was going to be the way that all these camera companies were going to go. Continuing to wait for the perfect camera, I did get into DJI drones and the Osmo Pocket 1 and the Pocket 2, which I still use quite a bit to this day. The first really tempting full-frame camera for me was the Sony a7S III. I watched a ton of YouTube videos on that when it came out in 2018. Especially intriguing were iPhonedo or Farouk's reviews on that camera. Super tempting, but the price tag of $3,500 just for the body was just a little too much for me to digest at that time. Fast forward to 2020, and Panasonic Lumix released the S5, and I thought, oh, finally. Full frame camera, $2,000 for the body. It seemed like it could be a real winner. The big thing for me, which kept me from purchasing that camera, was the autofocus, which seemed to really lag behind both Sony and Canon. So it felt like the next generation of the S5 would probably be the one for me. And in 2023, that finally came true. Panasonic Lumix announced the S5 II and the S5 IIX. And they fixed their autofocus, at least to put it in the ball game with Sony and Canon. And for a $2,000 price point, you know, the improved autofocus, like I mentioned, full HD mount, the ability to record to an SSD over USB-C, those were all huge things for me. About the only bummer was the fact that in 4K 60, it doesn't utilize the full frame, and it just, you know, punches into APS-C. But I kind of overlooked that one little negative and decided to make the purchase. All the footage you're seeing in this video was early days of me recording, and I'm just recording in 4K 24, 72 megabit per second, H.264 directly to the SD cards. So not really playing around yet with a lot of the other codecs and resolutions, that sort of thing. I have played around with some of the 6K OpenGate, which looks pretty cool. Haven't really done a whole lot with it yet. In this talking head video that I'm recording now, I am still recording in 4K 24, but I am recording straight to the Atomos Ninja recorder in ProRes. And once I've got a taste of ProRes, and just what a pleasure it is to edit with that codec. Man, H.264 and H.265, especially when you get into 4K 60 out of the DJI products, it's just such a nightmare to edit with. The scrubbability is just trash. Even on my quite powerful computer, you know, it's juddery and, you know, not fun to edit with. So let's talk modifications and accessories that I've decided to make. And this also dovetails into the value proposition, especially when compared to a camera like the Sony a7S III. I went with the 20 to 60 millimeter kit lens. You save a few bucks if you buy it with the body. So I bought the body, the S5IIX body, the 20 to 60 millimeter kit lens. I got the Atomos Ninja V monitor and an SSD for that. I also purchased the Kondor Blue cage, top handle, and monitor mount, a couple SD cards for the camera itself, and a cheap battery kit and charging cradle off of Amazon for the camera. And when you add all of that stuff up, it's about the same price as the Sony a7S III when you take, shipping and tax and all of that into account. So I get basically a fully kitted out, full frame video camera for the same price as the a7S III body. So to me, that was a huge win. It's early days yet, but overall I'm pretty satisfied with how the camera has functioned and just the purchase in general. There's a ton to learn. The English manual itself for this camera is like over 800 pages, and I'm still trying to figure out my ultimate workflow, but so far so good. I'm also pleasantly surprised by the photo capability of this camera. I mean, it shouldn't be a shock. It's a full frame 24 megapixel camera. But I didn't buy it with the intention of taking stills, but on a recent camping trip with my family, I found myself taking quite a few, and they turned out quite well. It doesn't have any sort of flash on it, obviously, so that's something I would have to figure out if I wanted to go down that road, but probably we'll just keep it as is and stick mainly to video and how I have this thing kitted out. But in well-lit conditions, it takes fantastic photographs, especially outside. Well, that's pretty much it for this video, just the introduction to my experience with the Lumix S5IIX. Future videos going forward will obviously feature this as the main camera, and I will have other videos in the near future where I make some custom holders for the SSD drives so that I can record over USB-C if I so choose. That's it. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.